In November of 2023, the Swell pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell pod.
In partnership with Kiln Motor Camper Vans and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McKeown.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell pod.
This is interview 20 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln Salt Lake City talking with Brandon Gardner. Brandon is founder and CEO of Sembrar. Sembrar offers fractional product management services designed to provide businesses with skilled product managers for only the time and duration needed. This approach aims to maximize return on investment and save costs compared to hiring full-time product management personnel. Sembrar services are tailored to different stages of a product's lifecycle, offering part-time product managers with expertise in areas like product development, go-to-market strategies, and product leadership. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoy.
This is Brandon Gardner. Now, Brandon, we do know each other for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say there's a few things that you've done that are super interesting. I'd like to get you to give us a Reader's Digest version of your life.
Oh my gosh.
Really quick, though. Go.
Grew up in Colorado. Loved the outdoors. How vulnerable do you want me to be?
Super.
Really?
As comfortable as you want.
Grew up with some challenges that taught me some great skills and carried those skills over. And have always had a tilt for wanting to build things, and so now I'm here where I'm at, out of, just working hard, I guess, or being lucky at some level, and excited to be here.
Can I just ask you guys, recap how you guys know each other?
I think just from events and from talking and networking with each other. And Brandon, well,
we met each other, I think it was in July this year.
Yeah, that's right.
You actually told me about this event, and I was prospecting, honestly. He was working for a big corporate organization and my business, and I was just like, oh, well, there's some red meat there. I could go and get some business, right? Yeah. So that's what I was going. But of course, I meant much more than that.
Then you became great friends.
Yeah, for sure. And got invited to this. So.
Well, we bring in just Brandon. Well, tell us what you do now.
Yeah, so I, as of over a year ago, now 14 months, started my own business. Do you want me to go in detail on what it is?
Yeah, go for it.
So started a company called Sembrar, and Sembrar is all about product management and helping products. So my background is actually in product management. I've built products for the past 15 years, and this last September got laid off from a high-growth startup. And I was really done with actually the whole tech scene, but wanted to do something just completely different. And the short story is I was looking at like plumbing companies, like services companies, home services companies.
To buy one of those companies? I
was going to buy one. I wasn't going to start one. And I was just going to buy one, do something really different, modernize it. And it was going to be very much a lifestyle business, but a different type of area. I love growing. I love business. I love building businesses up. But in the meantime, I had people coming to me asking me for work and product on just a part-time basis, like 5-10 hours a week, 20 hours a week. And I started to do more research about it, asking my executive friends about, would you bring on someone at 10 to 20 hours? Like, what would be the issues with that? Eventually, I had 4 clients myself while I was looking for a business. And it just evolved into, I'll go chase where the money's coming from. Yeah. I actually did put in an offer on a business, put in an offer on a second, or close to an offer on a second business. They didn't pan out, and I hopefully they didn't pan out for a reason. And so look where we are 14 months later and still going strong and growing.
That's amazing. So fractional product management?
Yeah, so fractional product management. So essentially what that means, it's a part-time individual contributing product manager. People take possibly different definitions of it. Yeah. Our slant is you need, as a product leader, there are times you need just someone for 3 to 6 months, 20 hours a week. You don't have the budget for a full-time, or you just don't need someone full-time. And that's actually more of the case. You just don't need someone full-time. Bring them in, someone who's very senior, get the job done, and then get on out and bring them back in maybe in a few other months from now to do something else. So.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's less risk on the company, particularly founders, and we can go into lots of stories. Work with lots of incredible startups and larger companies as well in the growth phases. So yeah, it's really cool to see.
So when you say do you mean permanent versus, what do you call it? Someone that isn't permanent.
Yeah, it's not permanent. Or
do you mean part-time hours, like 20 hours a week?
Part-time hours. Contract, more of a contract level, 3 to 6 months, maybe 20 hours, 10 hours a week.
Interesting.
We've seen it all. I have PMs at 10 hours, I have PMs at 20 hours, and we occasionally do 40 hours, but that's not the norm.
Interesting, because if you read Empowered and other books by Marty Kagan, would he agree? I can imagine he wouldn't agree.
No,
but secondly, because one of the things he talks about is product being a more than a full-time job, like this, like, 60 hours a week. It's just the nature of product. So how is it, and what type of projects, let's say, or products, can a fractional product manager be effective with?
Great question. So this was my contrarian view, because I still get it. It's just like, no, you need a product manager full-time. And I agree with them. And there are times where you don't need a product manager full-time. It's a waste of their time and it's a waste of your resources. Right. And you're also burning out your people trying to get them to work on that extra little project. You're burning them. I've done it. And so I'll tell you a quick story. There was a VP, local, I won't say the name. Local VP I talked to about this early in the year. They gave me the same response. PM's a 60-hour-a-week job. And that was the end of the conversation. Lo and behold, I won't say when, they recently announced, because they recently announced they're doing fractional, because they see the value. And I have so many startups. One of my clients, just a few weeks ago, Mark won't mind, Zox. It's a startup out of San Francisco, VC backed. They're doing fantastic. We got him an incredible, his name's Jim, you can go look at my LinkedIn post. So Jim Hardiman was a PM with Zox for 15 hours a week. And I was talking with Mark just a few weeks back, and he's like, I was gonna go hire someone at a junior level, but brought in Jim, who's a very senior level, he's an executive level product manager. He was doing IC level work in the fintech space. He made all the difference. And now they have a product, they're nearing revenue, and it's made the difference. So this works. It absolutely works.
So hiring
obviously you see I'm getting passionate about this.
So can I just say, I feel that deeply, because right before this call, I'm a PM.
Yeah.
And right before this call, I was on a phone call in the middle of our road trip handling work, It's like, I mean, it burned out. So
you're burned out.
Yeah.
And I've burned out PMs too. I have scarred in my memory talking to this PM who's sitting across the table, really upset with me because I keep on putting him on the next project because he's a great PM.
Yeah.
But you're burning out your people. So bring in someone 10 to 20 hours a week that senior can get in, is focused, get caught up to speed fast, and work on that project. I know it's a contrarian view. And product leaders are now coming to me.
They're coming to you.
They're coming to me. They're seeing the value, particularly now. We've lived 12 years of fat and just lots of fat in the tech world. You could hire people full time. Well, things are changing now.
Yeah.
And if you need that product help, particularly in early stages, but even in latter stages, just bring in someone part-time. Don't commit full-time to it. Again, I'll be the first to say you need full-time PMs.
Yeah.
This is another tool in the tool belt. not all hammers are created the same.
Yeah.
It's a different type of hammer.
It's a really great point. So what are some of the bigger challenges that you're seeing right now, though? Like, are you seeing any challenges in your model and kind of what you're doing?
Yeah. So there are people who have done fractional work before, but we're really helping to pave how it works.
I see.
And so there are some things that obviously it doesn't work well in. And so where fractional really works well in, and please let me know if I'm answering your question. I think where it really works well in is when it's really focused on a very particular outcome and project. Right. So I'll use this as an example. We have a client who has an SSO. They're doing an SSO project. Well, SSO is not their core competency. And so they could have tried to convince one of the PMs to come in and do this for 20 hours a week. But what they opted for is saying, well, none of our PMs know SSO. So can we get a Sembrar product manager that's versed and knows how to do this, go in there and work on SSO for them and get to certain outcomes. So it has to be focused. Yeah. It has to be outcome driven and outcome based. And that is really actually the key to fractional product management. The other one is they do need to be senior. If they're a unicorn mid in their career, but we only do senior product managers because they do have to get in there and up to speed very quickly. Yeah. You can't teach them how to work in a scrum team or how to work with engineers. They just have to come ready to play, ready to go really fast. Yeah.
That's super helpful. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You're talking about really like a guaranteed 10x product manager, right? Someone that literally is, let's say, doing probably 10 times worth of impact than the next person. I think sometimes you can have a product where someone's just volunteering, helping, like maybe it's an MVP, maybe it's an experiment, and they're just literally spending a tiny bit of time. Yeah. And they're not even spending maybe more than an hour or so a week. Right. You need a dedicated resource, and actually, if you bring in just a part-time one, that's better than nothing. Yeah. Yeah. On one very special, particular project.
So early on, we had a project where we were focusing on onboarding, and the entrepreneur had been working on this onboarding. Like he just was out of ideas. When you've stared at the problem for so long, you just kind of you run dry. Well, within a month, 2 months, we had increased conversions on onboarding by 7%. Just because we helped bring in some fresh ideas. So exactly right. Like it was the product manager who was the entrepreneur by themselves just needed a little extra help. Another fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, that's good. What have you learned from this? I know your early days. What is we talked about challenges, but like what have you learned really about this process? Because you're early and there's a lot more to do, right?
How early is it? Sorry, and how early are you into it?
14 months.
14 months, okay, sorry.
Yeah. So what's your biggest learnings?
Like from building a company?
Yeah.
Consistent, this is just because it's top of mind, so this might be recency bias. Consistency in sales is so dang hard. Those sales guys and gals they work their butts off. And I appreciated it as a PM, but I don't appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot more now. Marketing and sales is so hard. So hard. It's hard to get right. It's hard to do it right. It's hard to create consistency. So we've had some wins. We're doing well, but I don't feel like I'm at a consistent spot. And we had a couple months of no new contracts, and it's just like, why? Like, what happened? We had 2 months of signing all these contracts, and then we have this dry spell. Yeah. It's like, well, why? What's going on? And
so you learn what? More consistency with it.
Yeah.
So that's what you're learning.
Like learning consistency is key.
Yeah. For something like a pipeline.
Yeah. So that's a big challenge. Is consistency. Is just making sure consistency and when to bring on someone more expertise versus me doing it myself. I have a great partner, Christine. She joined me in July to work on this, and she's been fabulous. But it's our fun things to learn, and it's really fun and it's really hard at the same time.
That's good. So advice do we want some advice for our listeners?
Are you also building out of Kiln though? So are you based out of Kiln?
I come to a lot of events at Kiln, but not yet.
Okay.
One of these days.
Yeah. Actually, another question then. So where is this solution then? Like, do you have a website with a portal?
Yeah. So Sembrar.io.
Got it.
We're services, not necessarily. It's not a tech offering. We go and work with tech companies, with software companies. But yeah, Sembrar.io.
Cool.
The name Sembrar. So here's the logo. This is my gift.
Oh,
and
yeah, we've got a gift for you
I'm
too.
bringing a tattered one. Sembrar means to plant or to seed.
Yeah.
In Spanish.
Yeah.
And my last name's Gardner.
Yeah, perfect.
And I love this idea, particularly in product management, of seeding, caring, and then harvesting. Because product management is typically, it's a process.
Yeah.
So I brought you.
It makes sense. Thank you.
Again, it was my last one, so it's a little tattered.
That's okay.
Well,
Wildflower seeds. So on your trip,
no way.
when you guys are going,
Yeah.
find some ground.
I love it.
Move away some dirt.
I like
and
it.
go plant some wildflower
Thank
seeds
you.
that are down there.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
There's your
for sure.
challenge.
And we will put that out as a reel.
Any specific place that you want it planted? Doesn't matter. Any specific state?
Fertile ground.
Okay, all right. We can do that. Yeah, so I guess, one of the questions that we're just asking everybody on this road trip is, we were fascinated with the process of going from an idea to a movement, creating something that maybe hasn't existed before, innovating, disrupting, and, from your perspective, what does it take to do that?
Yeah. I think it takes, I want to say like passion and those things, but I'm going to leave those aside. I'm going to say you have to be willing to take a risk. And that risk is probably going to be some financial risk. It's probably going to be some personal risk. You guys are taking a risk right now, going out and making this happen.
Especially in the car with this guy driving.
Yeah, I know.
That's a
risk.
risk.
Like some relationships risks.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to be at each other's throats by the end of this.
Close already. I'm just kidding.
But I think you have to weigh out the risks, and are you willing to take those risks, whether they're financial or more personal, and I think it just has to weigh down to that. How much risk are you really willing to take, and is that risk worth the potential vision of accomplishing that vision? And I think it's step by step. I didn't go full in Sembrar until February of this year. I started the company officially, I guess you'd say, in September last year, but it really wasn't, I really didn't go full in until February, March, after I tried some things and done it myself, seen it done some interviewing, done my own research. I was convinced that it was worth the some of the capital risks and some of the just risks of doing something different, more personal, emotional risks.
Yeah.
Of approaching it that way.
Yeah.
So I'd say risk. You got to be willing to take that risk. And does that match up to what you want to do?
That's
Love
great.
it.
And then the passion has to come behind it.
Yeah. Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Motor Camper Vans, a luxury camper van rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Motor Camper Vans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
also ensure energy security with backup power during outages,
reduce carbon emissions with renewables.
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables.
And enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode. There's the passion coming in. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
No, that was amazing. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, no, I should have said at the start, we can do it when we post it on your bio, but Brandon also co-founded
Product Hive.
Product Hive
no way.
in Utah.
Yeah, cool.
So that started in 2015.
Yeah.
It was actually started as Product Management Excellence, PMX.
Yeah.
And then we joined the UX community here, which was PDA.
Yeah.
And we combined to form in 2016 Product Hive.
That's awesome.
So it's just a good shout out now, and of course Ben Peck,
Fantastic community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I kind of just want to go back. So without sharing stuff from your childhood, what you were referring to, what is it from your past, your family, the things that you learned that you use now? Yeah. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like first principle kind of thing.
Yeah, I had a fantastic childhood. I had some, I'm dyslexic, so I'll just throw it out there.
Yeah.
So growing up in a world that's very academically driven, you have to then approach it a little bit differently. So what I've learned in that process is I just think the way I think, and I approach things the way I don't know any different. But what I do know is it's different than maybe how other people approach things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I've had to utilize that and learn that I'm just going to have to approach things differently. So that's been a big key. Where I was really early on trying to force myself into how other people approached things.
Right. Do it your way with your skill set.
I have to do it my way and or the way that works for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Had to learn failure pretty early on when you study really hard for exams and tests and you fail them. It's just really hard to work hard at something and fail at it.
Yeah.
So had to learn how to be okay with failure. Had to learn to be okay with just working hard.
Thank you.
I think those are the things I had to learn early on.
Well, good stuff, Brandon. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Have a great journey.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in 2 ways. 1, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, @the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.